Hey there, welcome back to the channel. It's Perry here, and today we're going to get into the topic of water and how important it is to be drinking pure filtered water. In some cases, you may need to buffer water. There's many different types of filtration systems that are available. I have an RO system that actually can deionize water and bring water down to a 0.00 TDS. But I also drink a gravity-fed water, and it's filtered through the big Berkey elements and then through the sodium fluoride filters that you can get from Berkey. Now, what I did is I made a do-it-yourself vessel, two 5-gallon Cambros for food storage, so they're food safe, BPA free, and basically they are with lids, so you can buy them at a restaurant supply store. And I did not like the sports model of the Berkey. It cracked, and I've had to replace the lower chamber a couple of times, and it really begins to crack around the spigot. So all you big Berkey users out there know exactly what the heck I'm talking about when I'm getting into that, because it's such a pain in the ass. It's a nuisance. I still have the body of my old Berkey, and I have a separate set of elements, but the Berkey elements are really cool because they remove pretty much 99% of anything that you really need to worry about getting in your water. It goes well beyond any gravity type of scenario. In fact, the reason I chose Berkey was because of its ability to filter really any type of water, lake, pond, well. Does not matter. You can use it in an emergency situation. So I collect rainwater as well, and my ability to filter rainwater would be a great option for if there were issues specifically in a hurricane environment like Florida. So anyway, from the local restaurant supply store, the one in Daytona Beach, in fact, is where I bought this. It's two 5-gallon BPA-free Cambros, both with the lids, and they actually had one that had the spigot pre-installed. And again, referencing the filtration is the Berkey Elements, and you can find them anywhere on Amazon, all over the place. They're quite expensive if you get the original Berkeys, which I highly recommend. However, others might argue that there are others that are even better, like ceramic-based. They've got some where the fluoride filter is actually built into the standard filter. I'm actually using the Berkey Elements, and then they have the screw-on fluoride filters, and they are not as inexpensive as they once were. Everything's doubled in price, but again, I've had my Elements now for 12 years, and they're still going strong. So it really pays for itself. The initial upfront cost of a Berkey system can be about $350, $450 for a four-person family. It can get more depending on if you upgrade to the 4 elements versus the 2, which would give more capacity and a higher frequency of filtration. But at any rate, I don't want to get too far off path. This is something I created for my purposes. I'm a huge advocate of water. Again, I was a reef keeper. I've been using RODI water forever, and so I could use water. I do have a remineralization attachment to my RO output, so I can take the 6 TDS and then I can rebuffer that with a calcium carbonate block essentially, and that reionizes the water and makes it more like a spring water. Okay, so it carries a higher alkalinity, a higher pH, which in turn is to help the body. All right, so water, we're talking about water, a higher pH. Yes, you want to drive a higher alkalinity, a higher pH in your body. Why? Because that will then transition your body from that 7.0 or perhaps below 7.0 on the acid level to a higher pH. And you could get to your, transitioning your body into a more alkaline environment. Now, if you really want to go even further with it, you can then eat alkaline type foods and drink alkaline water, and then really focus on driving all of that inflammatory response, which is acidity essentially in your body. And so water can certainly help your body in that removal. Pink Himalayan sea salt can be used as well. I use it twice a day. I buffer my water in the evening and in the morning. So my first drink of the day is with Himalayan sea salt buffered Berkey water, if you will. So yeah, so this was just put together. I got the lid, the top one right here. Just, standard Cambro lid, and then I drilled it out to make a hole so the air can easily get in to create that gravity effect. And then underneath, I'm going to do this as best I can. So the black elements, basically, there's two spouts that go through here, and connected to them is the sodium fluoride filter. So the spouts, two holes are drilled underneath. Okay, so this on the underside of this, the bottom side is drilled with two holes to accommodate the two filter spouts that go in, and then underneath is a washer and a plastic wing. And then if you've used the Berkey before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I've designed this to be exactly like the plastic Berkey system. So yeah, so anyway, then the fluoride filter is attached to them. So what I did on this bottom part is you can see those filters right there, right? All right, so I'm going to move this to the side, and bear with me. So I'm going to try to put this to the side here without making a flipping mess. Gosh, I should have planned this out better. So then, what we have is this is the hole that was drilled, right, or cut out. I drilled a hole, then I cut out a circle, and that accommodates that sitting on here, and then allows those fluoride filters and the spouts from the top chamber of the Berkey to then gravity drip through the filters, right? So it goes through the polymer filters, then it goes through the fluoride attachment filters, and then I'll try to show you this. It's going to be kind of hard. I'll do an angle, but you can see how up underneath right there, you can see how those are coming through with the wing nuts and everything. And so then that just drops in there and sits right up on top. And so basically, I went from like a 2-gallon reservoir, a 2.5-gallon reservoir with the Berkey Sport to 5 gallons. Actually, it goes beyond that. It goes to 22 quarts. So 20 quarts would be your 5-gallon mark, right? So it actually goes up to almost 6 gallons, but who's going to fill it all the way to the top? But yeah, it works really well. And again, back to the gravity part. So I can put really any water in here I need to, except salt water, of course. It's not going to filter salt out. So you don't want to put that in there. But if you had to use this in an emergency situation, it would definitely work out for you. And you're not going to have to lug water around anymore. It's so simple. I just fill up a 1-gallon pitcher, and then I just pour it in. As simple as that. And then, I only have to fill that up every other day. Basically, I'll just fill it up to there every other day, and then that'll give me, enough water between me and Andy for, at least 3 days. I drink about a gallon, maybe a little bit more than a gallon a day. I'm a huge advocate of flushing daily. Now you don't want to get too extreme with it, but I'm a huge advocate of water. I mainly drink water. I drink maybe a little bit of coffee, a little bit of tea, some kombucha for the probiotic effect. I used to actually brew it, and I got really out there with that, and really enjoyed it. But it's time consuming, and it's just so hard to keep them cultures going. You just got to be diligent, and I just kind of lost touch with it. But at any rate, it just goes back to being the base of really what I cook with. I use it for everything, and I've been on a boil alert here at the house a couple of times, and it's like no big deal. I can use this to brush my teeth, I can use it to wash my face, whatever, and it's no issue. It's not costing me anything but the tap water out of the sink, right? I don't have to lug bottled waters in. Look, I'm not a salesman for Berkey, but what I'll tell you is there's a place for this in health and vitality. Now, if you are an RO fan, maybe you have an RO system built into your home, if you're lucky enough to have that type of situation, keep in mind, though, that what an RO system does to the water, it typically brings the pH value, somewhere down. And in my case, when I pH my RO water, I get, oh goodness, I get really, really low readings, 5, sometimes 6, between 5 and 6 on the TDS, or not on the TDS, on the pH. Yeah, so not a very good pH. That means the water is quite acidic. So if you're gonna use RO, I would highly suggest that you mineralize it and use a mineralization filter, which they're inexpensive. You can get them for like 30, 40 bucks on Amazon. And it basically is an inline filter that then is essentially it's a calcium carbonate block that reionizes the water. It mimics the restructuring the water to a spring water. Careful. You need to let the water go through that for a minute if you choose that route. I drank water like that for a good bit. I'd lost touch with Berkey for a while because I was just so pissed off about it cracking on the base so many times. But in the end, the filters are excellent, and the fluoride filters remove the sodium fluoride, which, that's a whole nother topic that we're not going to get into here. But, look, I find it to be extremely important for clean, purified water to be entering my body, and so it just seems to work, and it's going to save you a ton. But the RO, it would be the best option if you can afford it. Just remember, you got to somehow find a way to use that water on the discharge, because it does waste. It's like 4 to 1 in some cases. So for every 1 gallon of pure water you're making, it's like 4 gallons rejected. So you're if you can feed a garden or something like that, it's no big deal. I still make RO water periodically, and I remint it, and it's nice. But myself, I'm more of a pink Himalayan sea salt fan, and I buffer this water twice a day. First thing in the morning, when I drink my water, I flush my system with it, and before bed, before I get into my fast at night, I like to make sure that that I'm kind of cleansing my system and adding some minerals in for the beginning part of that fast. And it's also a great way for your body to come out of fast, that sleep fast specifically. So while we're not getting into fasting or time restricted feeding today, it is a part of the program as far as mine is concerned, my program. So yeah, water is extremely important. Again, this is a do-it-yourself type deal. I could get further and deeper into how I put this together. If you're interested, leave some questions in the comment field. If you do have them specific to, how can I get these filters or whatever. If you're using the Berkey, they sell knockoffs. Beware. But again, they make the ceramic ones with the fluoride filter built in. Most of them are pretty damn reliable, and they all use the same hole width, and like the spout and everything is really common and universal. So even if you're just trying to change out your Berkey filters in your setup for a different filter, I could go that route if I wanted to. But I've had the same Berkey elements in place now for, I want to say 12, 14 years. I've been using the same ones, and I still could probably use them another 5, 8 years. I know it sounds crazy, but I've been drinking the water. I've been a big fan of it. I took a minute off of it for RO, like I said, but yeah, this is something I've been using since right around 2012. So yeah, almost 12 years. I added a couple, sorry about that, but about 12 years. I think around 2012 is when I picked up my first Berkey. So yeah. I sound like a Berkey salesman, but I'm not. Look, I've just always felt like if something is really good for you, as far as like, saving you money, giving you something good, quality, it's giving you redundancy should the power and the water go out and the water supply system be corrupt for whatever reason. You just have a little bit of a fail-safe just in case. Hopefully none of those scenarios present themselves, but But again, it does give you a little peace of mind knowing that you could go down to your lake, or if you had a swimming pool, whatever, you could just take the water right out of your pool and use it. Collect rainwater, which I do. Yeah, well, I'll show you my rainwater setup soon. Real easy. You can get the barrels and stuff locally, but in some cases, I like to filter the rainwater, through the Berkey, and yeah, it's very refreshing. But that's pretty much it today. Water. We're almost all water, and I really think it's important that we take the time to make a really good choice about the water we're putting in our bodies. Keep in mind, I haven't gotten into nanoplastics in the bottled waters, and there's all of these ideas floating out there of all these nanoplastics that are in our body. This chamber is made out of plastic, so I'm not one to judge. I could be picking up small plastic particles in here, so maybe this isn't the best vessel, but we're not going to ever be able to eliminate all toxicity or environmental toxicity. So all we can do is just make the best choices we can, and that's what this channel is going to be all about. Thank you for taking the time to watch it. Take care.